Goedemiddag. Thank you everyone. Trust everyone can hear me. First and foremost, a very warm, or shall I say, a coolish welcome to this Danbread Africa experience. It's all about having fun today and engaging with industry experts, farmers, service partners, etc. So today's all about you here today. As you can see, I'm also your typical farmer, and as you can hear by my accent, my first language is English. So I'm going to try my best to try and keep it as bilingual as possible. I believe we have quite a few guests here today from outside of South Africa. Sorry, I didn't use a swear word there. It's not like they keep it out. I didn't use a swear word. I believe we have quite a few guests from outside of South Africa. So our neighbouring countries, Lesotho. I heard Lesotho. We've got people from Lesotho. Are you here? Yes. Okay. Not Botswana, Zimbabwe. Welcome. Mozambique. Namibia, of course Denmark, yes, of course Denmark. Yeah, when I first heard the name Danbread, I thought it was a guy by the name of Dan. He's really proud of his beautiful children. It's big boys on it. But then I discovered that, much more than that. Basically Dan had quite a few million kids. But today is about everyone here. We've got a few industry experts that are going to give one or two presentations, a couple. So I'm that guy today. My name is Marnus Kruger. I'm the MC, and I need to ensure that we stick to the time and that everything flows. There's always, like with most of these events, got a few housekeeping things that we just need to get out of the way. First things first, if you want to know where the gents and the ladies are, so to my right, that door takes you to the ladies, and the door to my left takes you to the gents. We're not here to judge, we're here to enjoy it, so you can, whichever one is closest to you. What can never be too sure these days. On a serious note, so that's the ladies and then the gents to my left. Those of you that enjoy a good yellowtail, I'm not talking about the fissy, the one that the tobacco one, please do that outside. We obviously don't allow any smoking inside the premises. We are going to have a break later on, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a couple of presentations, and then we've got what we call a biological break. It sounds, we're very scientific today. That just adds to it. We're going out taking a biological break. Basically, we're going to take a smoke break, stretch our legs, drink coffee, but that's going to happen later on. Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's always good to get out of the city. I at one stage thought I was actually getting lost, thought the GPS was taking me on a detour, and then I saw a big sign. Sorry, thank you. I hope you can still hear me. Thanks, Jared. And then I saw a big sign, Happy Hooker. Yeah. And then I thought to myself, okay, am I really going to the right place? And then I realized that two things. I've never seen a sad one. Sorry, I'm giving it away. But then I realized it's actually a breast line and fish hooks because there's a dam just close by. Anyway, enough of me. I'm going to hand over to our first speaker who's going to give you the official welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Dr. Pieter Grimbeer.
Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, producers, industry friends, it's my absolute honor to open the first Danbread Experience meeting. You're all really extremely welcome. I'm Afrikaans speaking, but I'll speak in English because of our overseas visitors. And the other day, I was asked by somebody, what's our official language in South Africa? And being very clever, I thought, well, we've got 11 of them. But I said, no, our official language is broken English. So, we have a room full of enthusiastic listeners, and I hope you will enjoy this informative day with us. Everyone is very special. Our previous speaker did welcome our friends from Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Lesotho. Do we have delegates from the Danish Embassy? Yes, we have. You're most welcome. Thank you. Our colleagues from Danbread in Denmark, and especially our Australian colleague, Ashley sitting in front here, you're most welcome. All the producers from the Western Cape, from Patterson in the Eastern Cape, van die Noord-Kaap, baie welkom. I've been informed that we have two special people here today, and it's their birthday. The one is Dr. Christopher, there he sits, he's my colleague, and Alan Pennell, and I was looking for Alan. He wasn't here, so I phoned him. Didn't answer, because it's his birthday. He's just called me. I said, Alan, I want to wish you well with your birthday. He said, please don't speak to me now, I'm playing golf in Portugal. Okay, so if anybody else has a birthday today, or had one yesterday, is going to have one tomorrow, this meeting congratulates you, wishes you many happy returns. May the year be healthy, be productive, and be profitable. And profitable is not a word that our industry has at present. We all know that. But we won't speak about that now. About 4 or 5 months ago, at a Danbread Africa shareholders meeting, this special day came up. The guy said, how can we give back to the industry what they've given to us? And we had all sorts of ideas. And because we have strong personalities, it took quite a time to work out that we're going to have a Danbread Africa experience. I certainly hope you all enjoyed the day and that you share it with us, and it's a memorable occasion. Somebody said that gaan 'n lekker kuierdag wees. And in English that means we're going to have a job. It's going to be lots of fun. Who's Danbread Africa? We've got 5 equal shareholders. Let me mention it to you. We've got Gibbon Investments, which is represented by Jurgens. Will you opstaan, Jurgens? Give him a hand. Everybody knows Jurgens. He's also our general manager, and we're very, very proud of him. Second shareholder needs no introduction, is Mockford Farms. The 2 brothers aren't here today. The one is working, there always has to be a worker in the family. The other one is at a SAPO meeting. But Big Daddy is short. Yeah. There he is, short. And Peter Mockford, the father, I mean, he must be so extremely proud there's Peter Mockford. Peter, I believe Mockford Farms has been awarded the best farming operation in the Popo of South Africa. I'm not quite sure of the accolade, but well done, we're really very proud of you. Our next is Rainbest Hogs. They are part of the Russell Stone Group. They're represented today by Jaco van der Westhuizen, we call him Vessie. Waar is Jaco? There's Vessie, give him a hand. Malu Landgoed, represented by Marius Malherbe, my very good friend and colleague. Last but not least is Harmony Piggeries, represented by Shane Cotty. Shane is the general manager and is the backbone of all integrity. It's our custom in South Africa that we always open with prayer. It's how we like it, it's what we do, it's what we believe in. And I'm going to read you something out of the Bible, out of Habakkuk. It's spelled the same in English and Afrikaans. It's Habakkuk 3, verses 17 to 19. Though the fig tree does not bud, and there are no grapes on the vines, though the olive crops fail, and the fields produce no food, though there are no sheep in the pen, and no cattle in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. He makes my feet feel like the feet of a deer. He enables me to tread on new heights. Would you all close your eyes? Our very special guest today is Jesus Christ. We welcome him to our meeting. Bless the delegates, bless the speakers, bless our beloved industry, and bless our leaders of our country. Bestow them with wisdom. We humbly bend our knees in admiration to you. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my introduction, but I'd like to give a special thanks to Creekside, to Ricker Meats, to Marden Hawk, to the Flying Pig, to Willow Creek Olive Oil, to PSG Investments Consult for their speaker today, to Grainvest. All of them except PSG are in our group of companies, and we're all extremely proud of them. I'd then like to leave you with this last message I read the other day, and I think it pertains to all of us. To breed a sow is to believe in tomorrow. Welcome to our very special meeting. Thank you very much.
Dankie Dok, ek noem jou altyd my Dok, en ek glo jy's ander ouens Dok ook. Ek weet eintlik nie waar om te begin nie. My hart is net vol dankbaarheid vir Danbread, vir die opkoms vandag, en vir almal van julle wat hier is om die baie spesiale dag saam met ons te deel. Dok, you said we speak broken English in South Africa. I think the English was alright until I started speaking it. So it is very much broken today. But nevertheless, when we planned this day, like Peter said, sitting around the table, and one of the first things we said, it should be different, it should be a fun day. And Marius, you said, gaan ons go-kart ry. So yes, that's also fun, but truly the emphasis should be on giving back. Yes, such a day should have a bit of structure, so we would like to give you an update on our company, but it should be a relaxing, fun day. We want to please connect with you afterwards. I'd like to have a beer with you. Please stay for dinner. Please don't be in a hurry today. And also, there's a lot of people that obviously knows us and works with us already on a day-to-day basis. But there are people here from pharmaceutical companies, from feed companies, feed additive companies, and so on that knows of us, but not knowing completely how we work and how the Danbread setup works. So, excuse me then that I do give a bit of detail on that. Maybe you might know all of that already. I'd like to quickly touch on our program, our breeding program, what's the value in our company and things like that. So, if I would then start our head office in Pretoria, in Monument Park, 510 Makko Street. That's also where the Russell Stone head office is. We're privileged to have our office in the same building. And Danbread, people ask them, what do you guys stand for, and what's your plan with Danbread? And I like to think of ourselves, let's just get this right, I like to think of Danbread as a people's organization. For me, that says it. We're a people's organization. We value our customers, we value the people that we employ, that works for Danbread. We put a high value on them. We want you, when you interact with us as a company, we want you to experience a little of that. Dat ons as 'n maatskappy wat omgee. En ons wil graag so gesien word. We do agree that we will make many mistakes. We'll try to not repeat them. That's, by the way, a slogan that we hear us stay through. But we'll always try our best. So we're a company, we're a partnership between a few friends, like Walker said. But we do take reading seriously. It's a priority for us. It's something that we want to do the best we can. Sorry, that's now in reverse. So I said something about our staff, and I think maybe the best way to quickly introduce them is to call them forward, if they don't mind. I'm going to, the team that's on there, Saskia, Jan, Nadine, you can just quickly come forward and maybe just stand in the front. That would be nice. Adeline, you, Tanya, if you can quickly, if you're here, quickly come forward. And then Jan, I've got Gert. Awesome, Gert. Awesome. Guys, these are front office people like I, or in our Danbread head office, if we can call it that. So by the way, there's a group of pigs on its way to Uganda, and our supplying farms, Annemiek and Freddie and Peter, Angelique, they're all here too, and thank you for everything that you've done with that shipment the last 2 days. Now Saskia was, when we started, she was the first one that joined me, and today I refer to her as Hoofmeisie. So Hoofmeisie and guys, what I just want to say as a summary, Adeline, Nadine is from our accounting, she looks after the invoices, statements, all those kind of things. Saskia, mostly office matters, exports, imports of frozen seamen, those kind of things. Tanya has joined us recently, taking care of sales, office matters as well. And then Tanya and Adeline, they are two brand new AI technicians. They will be working in our new AI station, and they'll be taking care of the semen that goes out to the customers daily. All of these people are graduates. By the way, Adeline is busy with I don't think she's done, but she's at the end now with the masters in breeding and genetics. Saskia, you're economics girls, and then young as well. BSc Agrics, and then Gert needs a special mention. He's the guy that gets up every morning, most days of the week, drives the seamen far distances. He drives the most kilometers in our organization to make sure that your semen gets delivered to you on time, every time, intact, and good quality. And I can't thank you enough, Gert, for the work you do for us. Thank you for looking after our vehicles. Thank you for looking after our customers and our brand and our company. All of these guys are there to support you. We understand we're not important. I want to make that clear. We're not important. You are. You are customers, the industry, and when I say we're a people's organization, I mean that. Please interact with us. Please come to our offices and come have a coffee. Please introduce your company, your products. We want to work with the industry. We want to be seen as an industry friend. So please hear, but we are definitely not. We're not a clique. We're not someone that puts ourselves somewhere. We're not that. We're just servants to the industry, and we're going to try that to do as best as we can. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, now we come from a very tough time. You all know that. Still tough. But today, big producers want that. We want to be sustainable, competitive, and profitable. The modern egg producer requires more. We can't do what our dad's done, our grandfathers. It takes a new direction. We need more, and for us, we need to produce more from less. And in our book, that is the Danbread advantage. And I'll say a bit more about that. What makes Danbread different? Oh, great, like I mentioned there. For me, this is my summary. can't breed for everything. If you breed for everything, you might just reach nothing. But when you have a few breeding animals that you breed on and select from, and you have a few breeding goals, breeding criteria, with limited goals and a healthy budget, and you apply focused breeding, week in, week out, year in, year out, and you do this for 125, 130 years, like Danbread's been doing, then you really reach success. And for me, that's, in my book, what makes Danbread great. A quick update on our products. I've just mentioned it, we only have a few. Those are our superior performers. Basically Yorkshire, the Landrace that we breed pure. We cross the two to breed a Danbread hybrid, Danbread F1, and our terminal sire, the Duroc. That's it. No smarty box breeding, no more of this, less of that. That is what we focus on, and that is what we try to improve. It's just a breeding program, as I just explained to you. The hybrid field gets cross-mated with a terminal Duroc to produce nice water pigs. Now, when we started with Danbread, we could not import live animals. As you all know, the industry is closed. So, by the way, we one of 4 or 5 countries in the world that does not have purse. So we have a lot to be thankful for. Purse costs you 1,000 rand or more, 2,000 maybe per sow per year. We don't have that here. So we had to start with frozen semen. And the nice journey is as we bred, and as we went from the one generation to the other, our genetics started to shine. We could see that. Sean, my colleague Sean Mockford said here, it's actually great that we don't import just directly from Denmark, because we will not know how to handle these pigs. I mean, they're hyper-prolific, they're super sows, and maybe we're not ready to handle those large litters. So step by step, this is how we grow. We also know that we don't manage our pigs today the same way that 5 years back. And I can tell you for sure that in the next 5 years, we will all be looking after our pigs and the way we manage them differently than what we do today. These large litters will require more attention. If you win on 21 days, you might want to win on 28 days. And those are the challenges. We're might need extra milk, we might need more cross-crossing, we might need more nursing cells and things like that. But that is what we need to do to stay competitive. We can't say 12 is enough, because 12 is not enough. You need to drive the numbers. Pig farming is an output business, it's not the input. It's not about to pay for the input. It's paid by the output. Always remember that. That's our Duroc. I think, Ashley, you will say a little bit more about the breeding goals. I don't want to touch on every little thing, but this is a special animal. When we start taking on new farmers, maybe people that switch or our own farms too, the first thing that we see when we use our new, the Danish Duroc is that the animals are tough. Hulle soek nie vrek-plek nie. They're livable. The larger litters might be smaller, but they're livable. They go to their teeth. They start suckling. They show a livability. The pigs grow out uniform. And why? Because they're strong. They're robust. They don't trip over for every little thing. And they are extremely fast growing and with a very good feed condition. The Danish Duroc is a superstar. We now about, Shoma, you must say, I think we're 98% Danbread on the highest percentage Danbread at the moment. Started with 0, so yeah, it's been a journey, but it also took quite fast. It gives you less mortalities as well. So, and we are doing trials. We are constantly doing trials on many farms. And on growth, feed conversion, this animal comes out first in most trials. That's our hybrid. The big vision is not a Danbread product, it's just something that we offer in our company. There's a dual agency in South Africa. It's just for us a tool that we, in most cases, give to our customers free of charge, or we subsidize it, we pay it on your behalf, and It's just a measuring tool for us to help you better. So if we can understand your data of your farm better, and you can understand your own data a bit better and manage your farm accordingly, this is a very, very nice tool. I worked with Big Pro back in the beginning, Easy Care, a little bit with Big Champ and Big Vision, and for us it's new generation. But they're all good. I don't think the one program is better or worse than the other. But we find when we start using better tools, better measurements, Big Vision supply, we get the empty days down on the farms. Problem cells gets highlighted quickly. You can take action. The less the empty days, the more the per cell per year, and the more pitch per cell per year. I'll take this off again also. Just quickly something on meat quality. Our dear dog just reminded me the other day. Big farmers, not big farmers, the consumer don't pay or buy feed conversion. The consumer don't buy pre-wean mortality or post-wean mortality or feed conversion. They buy meat. And the Danbread slaughter pig has a high potential for superior meat. In terms of color, meat color, or the Minolta color chart, the Duroc gives you a slightly redder pork meat. Drip loss is better, it's 3.5% marbling. We see that in countries where the Duroc really takes off, and so by the way, there's a global move towards the Duroc. Where the Duroc is widely used, we support consumption growing as well. We should maybe just consider why we only eat 5 kilograms of pork in South Africa. It's a shame. Yeah, we know there are other things as well. But have pork become too tough to lean maybe? And the Danbread Duroc, obviously, that we normally say to Angus in the big world, contributes to meat quality. As Danbread, we have set for ourselves ambitious growth targets. They are really ambitious. The first one was to build a new AI station. We thought that's something that we need to take our business to the next level. Expanding the supply capacity within the next 2 years, you will see 2 newly built multipliers built in South Africa. I don't want to give away too much of that. They will both be 600 cell full line farms, and they'll come into Danbread, and they will be a supply base for us to sell our genetics from. Really, really exciting. Leanside, Sean's 30 in Polokwane, is soon starting with a deep pop exercise to clean them out and to become an SPF herd, a specific pathogen-free herd. Danbread Africa for Africa, we thought we'd do a little event here. On a ceremony, we've just been awarded the continent as a territory. I think Danbread just wanted to see these guys out a little before they announced that. It makes us really excited. We're currently doing, as I mentioned, a shipment to Uganda. We are supplying Zimbabwe. We have found Savannah pork in Botswana. Where's Fraser? There's Fraser. They brought in high health animals from us into Botswana, and they're now in the 2nd or 3rd parity already. And obviously this is part of our growth strategy as well. We're looking at Zambia, Uganda as a user group, Kenya is important for us. So we believe that the international market will become more and more interesting going forward. Okay, and this goes without saying, the base of everything should be high health, specific pathogen-free. If we can, we would like every farm in our system to be high health. The same goes for the AI station. The new station will be run as an SPF herd as well. And the first balls are in. And so yeah, so far so good. I don't want to dwell on these. I thought to just show you a few pictures. I had a video in here, but that was just too long. Just on the new AI station, see it that we maybe brag a little bit, but we are really excited. Something that we wanted to do. We spent a lot of time on this. And Helena, my husband, I remember when they joined Danbread, you said to me, I don't know whether you can remember this, Helena, you said to me, Jurgens, it's going to be a nice team, but we should consider or always focus on doing things right, doing the right things. And I must tell you, when I was busy with Stefan building the air station and planning that those words were in my ears. Many times do we do it right? So we have really tried to take all stops out to build a world-class facility. It's something that we are proud of. We can keep 140 boars here. We at first thought to take the lab into Pretoria to our offices. Away from the station, we then later decided against that. So we have the boars here and the lab. Just thought to quickly run through a few pictures here. The lab area. And we are actually, as I said earlier, at the moment now busy getting all our ducks in a row to get this started. For the semen collection, we thought to go for this deep pit, where the collector goes down into a pit, so it raises the bore, it brings it makes it much easier for the bore collector and safer, of course, to get semen from. And we're lucky so far that for most of our customers, I don't think there's one that's not getting his semen delivered on the farm. We'll see how it goes as we grow bigger and as our customers become farther. Guess what? Sorry, vir julle lewe was nie op die plaas af nie. Ek weet dit. That's our goal. If we can, it's always better to deliver to the farm, and that's one of our goals. Supported breeding program for Danbread well, that we do sell gilts. Many people ask me, do you sell gilts or do you only use closed systems? We do both. So you can buy breeders from us, maiden gilts, pregnant gilts, all the way up. We also do closed systems, gene pro systems. We have a choice to either use your gene pro into a nucleus model, so you have a pure line in your commercial unit, a pure population of Yorkshire or Lancashire, it doesn't matter. Or you can do a crisscross, which is a recognized program by Danbread as well. Crisscross gives you 67% heterosis of the final breeding animal, where a true nucleus unit 100% heterosis. But this is something that we need to focus more on, and that is nucleus management. If you run either your breeding program on crisscross or on nucleus, we can link your farm to the database in Denmark. The tools are there. With the help of Danbread, we've done the first commercial farm yesterday, where we link your farm to Denmark and the computer generates for you a mating plan, which index out or which out to make which board. All the boards in the AI station are known in Denmark, and the computer will generate a mating plan. The benefit of this is 25 index points. If we look at index points drop, if you buy an animal directly from Denmark at, let's say, 100 index, it drops very fast. Now, the value of the animal is not getting worse, but what we are measuring against is changing. So that basically puts you ahead 1 year. All right? So if we want to grow faster, if you want to run faster, if you want to breed smarter, this is the way to do it. Yes, there's a small cost to it, really, really small, but this is a tool that we think most farmers will use in a few years from now on farm breeding. Okay, obviously a lot of our support comes from Denmark. We're not sitting here on an island. Our breeding program gets managed from there. We get, for our own multipliers, we get weekly breeding reports. If we miss the mark, they tell us. Danbread is the only genetics company in the world that actually find, can I mention this? It's good. They find us. They find their customers, their partners. And that creates discipline. So we cannot report back late. We get fined for that, okay? With a smile on their faces. But it makes the system robust. it brings discipline, it brings accuracy, and for that, it brings better picks to the market. We are so fortunate. Hendrik was the first guy I phoned a few years back. Shortly after that, flew to Denmark. The CEO, Thomas Norman, could not see me on that day. And he said, listen, Jurgens, I can't see you, but I will make someone available. Arriving there, he changed his plans, and he could then see me. But since then, it was such a nice journey to know that we're not alone. They hold our hands, they measure with us, they take up the phone and call us. If we plan new farms, Jurgens, can we help you with the design? Can we help you with the breeding plan? Can we? And for me, that's a partnership. That is the type of people that we want to engage with. Sorry, I want to end off by thanking a few people. Firstly, I want to thank my colleagues, the shareholders, for the support they're giving me and the direction they're giving our organization. Look, you said some influential people, strong personalities, but that makes it great. Okay, to have this leadership in our organization, and for me that's a huge plus. I want to thank my staff, Saskia and the team, that's every day just doing their best. Yes, we have good times and bad times, and sometimes we feel like not going to the office, but we are always trying our best. And I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart for looking after our company and after our customers this great. I want to thank you, our customer, for allowing us the opportunity to breed with you and to sell you genetics and to make your piggery great. We understand our responsibility. It's a huge honor, but it comes with a huge responsibility. And I want to thank you for opening up your offices and being open with us on your breeding program, your data. For most of our customers, they say, Jurgens, Big Vision data is open. Please feel free to access our data. And thank you for that openness. Lastly, I want to thank my family, my wife, Martha, ek kan sê dis nog Afrikaans vir hulle en my twee seuns se ondersteuning. Hulle is die mense elke aand as ek huis toe gaan. Wat my ondersteun van die begin af en saam met my bid vir ons organisasie. En ek kan sê, sonder my gesin sal ek dit nie kan doen nie. Dit is lekker om jou idees kan my seuns nie wees nie. I want to end off by thanking the Lord for giving us all the opportunity to work in this fantastic organization. It's getting tough with us, but the Lord knows better. We all know where we get our strength from, and I thank Him every day for guiding me step by step. I thank you all. Thank you very much.
For that, certainly an eye-opener for me, getting to learn about different breeds of pigs. I didn't know Yorkies were also popular. Big breeding. Susie was a small, furry, really interesting little dogs. But yeah, Rock, you can see that's the buffalo. What struck me is, I think from now on, we piggery and pig farming, pig breeding, so this is what we're talking about today. So anything else is the enemy, okay? So we're not going to refer to someone if they don't behave well. Hulle gedra hulle soos 'n bees of 'n hoender. Iets anders. Pou, you can decide, but we're not going to use the word pig or fight or anything. Or you can refer to somebody as big, muscular, a beer. Many of your friends is as a sort me. Right, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, one interesting story, I spoke to her briefly, but she's probably going to give it away, but you'll hear from her accent. She's Australian originally, but she's in Denmark. She lives in Denmark and she's lived there since 2019. Sorry, 2019. That's basically BC, before COVID. Yeah, I'm not going to go into that. And she's, it's her first time ever to South Africa, and I said to her, I'm not going to, be that guy and make jokes about the Aussies. I'm really not. Because they already sound funny. No, but yeah, so she's going to talk to everyone, she's going to talk to us about proven results from demonstrated breeding. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Ashley Normal.
It's changed a little bit now since being in Denmark for a few years. It's a bit Danish English, but my Danish colleagues always joke that I speak English and Australian. Today, as mentioned, I'm going to talk to you about some of our results from our breeding program in Denmark and around the world, also a little bit of local results. But before that, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background into our program. Yes, well, I've sort of been introduced quickly already, but as mentioned, from Australia, and my background is animal science. I studied a bachelor in Australia, and then I moved some hours south and worked for a big piggery. It was about 50,000 sows, so I spent some time in the sheds as a manager as well. And then I was working for the industry body in Australia after that. Moved to Denmark to study a Master of Animal Science. As mentioned, BC, and I did spend all the COVID years in a small apartment in Denmark because Australia shut the borders, so that was how it was. That was sorry. But really, my passion, I guess, is helping farmers to optimize their production and working with their farm staff so that we can look after our animals in the best way possible and that we can get the best results from them. The Danish pig industry, it's a very small country, but there are 5 times as many pigs there as people. It's a fact that I don't think many people believe, but it's true. I just wanted to highlight how big the pig industry is in Denmark. And it really leads to the way that Danbread has developed, because it's sort of like they just focused on, okay, we're going to be really, really good at pigs, and we're going to be really good at dairy, and that's their main agricultural commodities. There are 2,800 commercial pig producers in Denmark, and they all have this individual CHR number. It stands for Central Husbandry Register. And that's what we use to keep the disease management between the farms. So I mentioned before, there will soon be an SPF farm in South Africa. It's the same system that we use, so that if the farm breaks with something, we can track it back to where it's come from. We have about 1 million sows. It fluctuates a little bit, but about 1 million within Denmark. We export about half of that as 30-kilo pigs to neighbouring countries, and the rest we grow out within Denmark. And only 10% of what we grow out is sold on the domestic market. The rest is sold all over the world, actually. It just gives you maybe a bit of a hint as to why we're so focused on breeding and we're so focusing on the numbers that we're breeding, because Denmark, that is their specialty. As a bit of a background into the company, Jürgen's talked about it a little bit before, but I just wanted to highlight that our majority ownership is actually the Danish Agriculture and Food Council. That means we're owned by the Danish farmers, essentially. And we are the commercial arm responsible for being able to distribute the genetics outside of Denmark and within. And our other owners are also involved within the agricultural industry as well, being Danish Agro and Danbread International, which was how this company operated before it was formed quite recently. We are a fully integrated chain in the sense that We have, of course, our products, but we also have the support to back it up. The logistics teams, the technical services, the research and development. We spend quite a lot of money every year, over 20, yes, I have it in red, 365 billion rand a year on research on average. That is research not only into the genetics, but it's also research within the management of the animal as well, so nutrition, reproduction, welfare, etc. All of which comes from our partner organisation in Segus, the Danish Eco Research Centre. There we go. This is a map of Denmark, and it shows where the nucleus and the multiplier herds are. We have 23 nucleus herds within Denmark, and then we have multipliers both within Denmark and outside, of course. But we keep the nucleus herds within Denmark for data collection, for biosecurity, but we keep them on separate herds, all individually owned by family farms, but they're kept on separate locations so that if they break with some kind of disease, we can easily depopulate them and repopulate them, and it won't affect our breeding program. We keep about 2,200 GGP sows, of which is the white lines, and a little bit less, about 1,800 of the Duroc GGPs. Jürgen's mentioned that we've been doing this for a long time. It's about 125 years since the first stud books began. It began with a group of Danish farmers that were wanting to improve together. And they started stud book recording, and the program was developed from there. We were the first company to start using genomic selection. Of course, any of the main players in the industry today will use that as well. But the next step for us is something called metabolomics. Genomic selection allows us to be quite accurate in the way that we're selecting animals, so to see how much they've inherited from their parents, how closely related they are to other animals in the breeding program. And metabolomics is a very complicated project. It isn't out yet. It's in development phase with some partners, but essentially it will mean that we will be able to be even more accurate with this in a faster way. Jürgens has also introduced our products, and maybe you've seen this slide before, I'm not sure, but I just wanted to highlight that we have 2 levels of heterosis here. That's why we have the 3-way breeding system. Our 2 white lines, our 2 maternal lines, they are the ones that are providing the fertility, the high born life numbers, the good mothering abilities, and it is the Duroc that puts the rest on as a terminal sire in order for you to have a lot of finishing pigs that are growing in a very fast and efficient way. The Danbread breeding program is built on economic principles. Every decision that we make is based on what the payback is going to be ultimately to the customer. We set our breeding goals based on the economic status of the industry now and into the short-term future, and it's reviewed quite regularly. The people that are making these decisions are pig farmers, they're members of the board, our board, the Danish Agriculture and Food Council, and other specialist groups to provide an opinion on this. But it's always with the end goal of producing the kilo of pork for the cheapest possible for the customer. This is quite a complicated slide, and I don't want you to focus too much on it, except to say that these are the numbers and the breeding traits that we have. So when we're setting the breeding goals, we don't say, oh, we want 60% of something and 10% of something else. What we work out is what the effect that trait is going to have for the producer, and then from that develops the percentage-wise of the breeding goals. And it's an important thing to remember, because it's actually the industry conditions that are driving the progress that we make for our customers. There are only 2 things that I just wanted to highlight here. One being how much of feed conversion affects the bottom line in these breeding goals. It is no surprise to anyone that, of course, feed prices are very tough. They're tough all around the world, and I guess they're not going to change anytime soon. We've been breeding for feed conversion for quite a long time, but in the reviewed goals, it's extremely intense as well. So I guess I could say that it will only get better. And these last 4 lines, they're about a goal called live piglets at 5, LP5, and we're going to talk about them a little bit more in a second. These numbers that are on the board right now, they are the numbers that we are collecting every year to go into the breeding program, to keep verifying the results that we have, and to keep making sure that we're getting accurate data. And the animals that we're testing both on our board testing facility and also within the breeder herds within Denmark. It has meant that we have over 32 million animals in our database. Of course, it goes back a long way, but there's quite a lot. It's quite a nation that is behind Danbread driving this. We mentioned before that Danbread is using genomic selection, and maybe some of you have heard of this before, but I just wanted to point out why it's really important to be using things like this within the breeding program. It basically means that we can challenge the traditional breeding assumptions that we had before genomic selection, I guess, where we assumed that every animal received the same amount of genetic information from their father, mother, that, for example, sisters or brothers were 50% related, and so on and so on. What we do with every animal is take a hair sample that's then sent to Scotland and analysed, so we have a huge database on every animal and how much DNA they've inherited. It's a snip of 50,000 genes, and then we're looking at 30,000 across each animal. It's quite a lot of data. And what it means is that we can actually accurately see what it is that these animals inherit. Because in the breeding program, of course, we want to select the animals that are constantly going to give back to us, that are the best in the field. But we also need to maintain genetic diversity. Otherwise, we'll breed ourselves into a serious inbreeding program, and that is more or less what genomic selection is able to help us to do. I mentioned before the LP5 goal. We used to actually just collect this based off live piglets at day 5. So it was a step on from live born piglets. Then we know the first 5 days are a critical period. And then if we can see that there's live piglets at day 5, then we can select that they are the better breeding sows. But actually, over the last few years, our colleagues in the breeding and genetics department have worked out a way to change the analysis of the data so that actually we can be even more accurate in that, and develop a system where we're selecting for higher piglet vitality. So what it means is that there are 3 factors going into the chance that a piglet is going to not only survive but thrive by day 5 and onwards. And that is the piglet's own ability to survive. It's the sow effect's survival that she gives to all of her piglets, and it's also the litter size of the sow. So it's these 3 traits that we're actually collecting data points and putting into the one figure. It basically means that we expect that we will be breeding even stronger piglets. We don't believe that the litter size is going to drop or decrease. It's in there for maintenance. But at some point, we need to move the breeding goal another way. As I mentioned a couple of times, it's always changing. We need to keep moving the goalposts and keep improving. And that's not through more and more piglets born alive. At the moment, it's for more and more piglets staying alive. If we look at the breeding goals for our 2 white lines, they're more or less the same, our maternal lines. Productivity, you can see, comes out at around 60%, and it's really driven by the feed conversion, the effect of the feed conversion. And when we're talking about that, of course, it's for the feed conversion for our finishers. But we also need to think that when we're selecting for these breeding animals, it has an effect there as well. If your sow is able to eat less food but produce more piglets, it's also a really, really strong form of efficiency that sometimes I think we forget a little bit about their contribution to the total feed economy. Robustness, as just mentioned, is the LP5 goal mostly. It's how we can have even stronger piglets. We want piglets that are fighters, that want to survive, and make it all the way through to the end. And this reproduction at 6%, it's basically maintaining the litter size. As I said before, the focus is not on decreasing that at all. The focus is on building on the numbers that we have. If we're looking at the Danbread Duroc, our terminal side line, productivity is of course the main of the breeding goals. The 80%, it really comes from feed conversion. He's a terminal sire, that's his job, is to make his piglets grow as fast as possible, as efficiently as possible for you guys. But, of course, he also has a small effect on piglet survival and conformation. I guess the end goal of this will mean that we will see a 1% decrease in piglet premium mortality every year. We've been told by our colleagues that it's a conservative estimate, that dropping, for example, from 15 to 14% piglet mortality is actually quite a big adjustment. And we're expecting that we're going to see that on the farms within the next 1 to 2 years. So within the first year, which has already happened a few months ago, as soon as we update the breeding goals within the program, overnight the indexes of the boars are changed. And throughout the first year, we will see that all of these sires are changed over to be the highest indexed animals within the new breeding goals. We expect that within the first 1 or 2 years, we're going to start seeing these results on farm, and then following that, we can keep adjusting if necessary. I'm quite excited to see how it goes. As mentioned, this 1% decrease would be really, really great. Being able to actively seek piglets that have their own ability to survive, I think, is something extremely unique to Danbread. Okay, so if we move on to a bit more commercial results now and some stories from around the place. I have here, in this first column, these are actually results from the last 12 months, so they're an average. So the first flag is showing you the average results from all the Danbread herds within Danbread. And the second is showing you the Danish top 5 average. And this is weaned pigs per sow per year. Of course, 41.2, average of the top 5, that's very good. But really what I think is amazing is these South African results. They are local results that Jurgens has drawn my attention to in the last couple of days. And you can see that they are actually already, after a year of using this, at the average.
Not average, no, the better forms.
Yes, of course, sorry. The better forms within South Africa. They're already at the Danish average, to make that clear. So it just, I mean, this is only the beginning for Danbread South Africa. The people in Denmark, they've been doing this for 120 years plus. And it is really amazing that you have already reached, the top herds have already reached the Danish average in this. And it shows how much potential there is as the genetic flow keeps moving. These are some results from our boar testing station. It's called Google Boar. Maybe my Danish colleagues will agree with my pronunciation. Close enough. These are from our 3 sire lines. So, of course, the Duroc, he's the winner. He has the highest daily gain between 30 kilos and slaughter weight, which we have at 115. But just to point out as well, that our other 2 white lines are actually not that far behind him. So even though the Duroc, of course, is the choice for a turquoise sire, and we're consistently breeding for this, at the end of the day, our other 2 white lines are performing just as highly. These are averages over the last year of being tested at Google Boar. We have monthly updates on this, so I expect that in the next year this will keep improving. I just wanted to highlight who I would think of the top of my mind as Denmark's best producer in terms of pigs weaned per sow per year. The reason why I think he's quite amazing is because he has tested positive to PRRS, Mycoplasma, and APP. It's the Danish PRRS, just as an FYI, and not the American, but still not a nice disease to have. It's a 2,600 sow farm, and they run across 2 sites. And I put here as well that they have staff from different countries. Just because I think it's important for you guys to realise as well that labour is also a challenge for Denmark. It's not all Danish people working on the herds. It's actually, I would say, a majority of farm staff coming from other parts of Europe. So this, it's still a challenge to teach people in this way. And despite that, he is still able to wean 43.2 pigs per sow per year. despite having a PRS outbreak during this time frame. This is an average over the last year. I think it's amazing, especially with this outbreak during the period. When we're looking at feed efficiency and feed conversion, these are the averages over the last 10 years. It's a little tricky for you guys to see, and I apologize for that. The screens are moving a bit tiny. But the point is that they're going in the right direction. There is an average line like this for each of the 3 breeds, and then the actual line is a bit squiggly, and then the average, you can see the direct correlation down. I can share these with you afterwards if you'd like to see them. In terms of daily gain, between 30 and 115 kilos, it's the same story, I guess, but in the opposite direction, which is the way that we want it to go. And in feed conversion, the same situation. We see feed conversion, this is on commercial herds, by the way. The previous slides were for the individual breeds. And in the commercial herds, between 30 and 115 kilos over the last 10 years, we've seen a massive, massive improvement in this. In lean meat percentage, it's the same story. It's been incorporated into the breeding goals for a while, and we're seeing the results quite clearly all the way through. This is also on commercial herds between 30 and 115 kilos. So basically, the Danbread finishes over the last 10 years especially, we've seen a huge increase in gain. We've seen a huge increase in feed conversion and also in their lean meat percentage. And there hasn't really been anything that's changed within Denmark or our herds for that. It's really, it's the genetics, and it really can only be done to the dura. Now, we talked a lot about the finishes and how we're basically creating these meat machines, which of course are paid back to the customers. But in doing that, we also need to be a little bit careful about the way it is that we're managing our gilts, because ultimately, those animals are part of this program. And if we just feed for ad libitum, whatever they would like to eat, they will get too heavy and lay down too much muscle. They're not laying down fat. When you look at a Danbread gilt especially, she often looks really, really strong. And she looks like she's really fat, really heavy. But really, you don't know if that's the case until you have taken a back fat measurement in a P2 scanning zone. It's usually what we say. I've heard that it's becoming pretty common in South Africa to do it, and that's great. 5 years ago, it was not common at all in Denmark to do it, but it's become more and more so because people were really caught out by thinking that their sows were in a great condition, but actually they were way too lean. What it means is that they will only last a couple of parities, 2 or 3, and then they start to drop out of the herd because they don't have enough fat reserves to make it through, and they're not actually providing you with the best piglets anyway. And we know that they're not really paying back to you until parity 3 or after. So in order to have a long producing sow, we really, really need to make sure that they're in this target of back fat at first meeting. And then, if we're heading over to farrowing time, it is all sows and gilts that should be between 14 and 17 millimeters. And we say that we don't want them too fat within the first mating when they're gilts, because even though they will have a very good first litter, they will always drop back in the second and the third. In fact, heavy gilts at first mating will often not make it to parity 3 or 4. There's been quite a big study in Denmark about that, confirming it as well. So much so that if you have the opportunity to breed your gilts a little bit younger, a little bit lighter, but at the right body condition, and body fat, you should do so. It's really the only management thing that I'm going to talk about today, but it's just important to keep in mind that we're developing this really, really lean, fast-growing animal, and that it's not a problem to manage the gilt. We just need to make sure we're hitting those targets at first mating, and then she'll follow through the rest. The clicker's a little slow, sorry. I just wanted to highlight as well, Jürgens has mentioned that we feel like we're a partnership with customers. We are always available to help, but it's not just within the actual animals and the feed genetics that we can help it's also support for those animals. We have a huge network within Denmark and beyond, including the Danbread Academy. That's part of the team that I'm from. But we also have technical services and solutions. We have the partners and distributors. And of course, the Danish Peak Research Centre in Seas Innovation is where we get most of our research information from. Just a quick note about the Danbread Academy. I'm not sure if many of you have heard or not, but this is something that's begun within the last couple of years, and it's become quite popular, mostly because it's being able to provide tools to you guys to support staff and train. We have on-farm training, but we also have a number of other resources to help. We have all of that information is freely available, whether you're using Danbread animals or not. It's for the betterment of the general pig industry, and of course, the nutrient specifications for Danbread animals, but the point is that for us, or Danish people, maybe not me, but in Denmark, it's very, very customary to be open and sharing information. Knowledge sharing and collaboration is really the key as to how the Danish industry has got to where they are. Everybody knows everybody's farm figures, and everybody's able to talk about it as to why they're doing something well, or equally as important is why something works so well. So what we're trying to do is replicate that within the Danbread Academy, and we have an on-farm training facility in the north of Denmark. It is both a commercial herd, and we have another site owned by the same group that's a breeding herd as well. So it's a herd that you can visit and be trained on, both from a breeding perspective but also from commercial management. It started earlier this year. And then we also have our knowledge hub. If you go to danbreadknowledge.com, you will find all of our information for any animal within the Danbread system, not only nutrient specifications, but also production, management, etc., etc. And any latest scientific articles or things we also have on there as well. We have on-farm manuals. We have, I believe, 6. Yes, 6. They cover off on all aspects of production. It's also available on an app. I believe that some of you are already using it, but I would highly recommend you to have a look in those, because I think it has extremely relevant material for people. Aside from that, thank you very much for your time and for asking me to be here today. It's been really great. And I believe that we're going to take questions after the networking session. So there's myself and my colleagues, Tina and Henrik, that are here. And we would really love to meet as many of you as possible. So please come and say hi.
It's fascinating to hear all the science and research and everything that goes into into pig farming. My goodness, really, really fascinating. You know, each one of you here, whether you're a service provider, you know, a farmer, you know, you understand your industry, and you understand, you know, your calling. Some of you might refer to it as a calling, and it's always fascinating. You know, you sometimes meet individuals that pretend that they know everything, you know, or something about everything. And one particular individual that comes to mind, I mean, he's quite a famous person, maybe for the right reasons, but also for the wrong reasons. But he tends to know a lot about a lot of things. And I'm going to sort of lead into that because our next speaker is going to talk about, although the title is the Psyche van die Safex market, the psyche of the Safex market. Before we get to that, you know, this individual, he knows a lot about everything. I mean, and I thought maybe I should just ask him, well, all the way in Potchefstroom, didn't know you were going to be welcome, Mr. Donald Trump. What brings you to Potch? Is it that happy place outside of town? please, just give us your thoughts.
Well, what a great occasion. Okay, it's totally amazing, it's fantastic, it's huge. Why? Because I'm a part of it, that's why. And I know, a lot of people say, I know a lot about property, I know a lot about being a president, but I also know a lot about farming. And in particular, pig farming. Because I know when people say I'm a real pig, that means I'm a pig farmer. And they say a lot to me that I'm a pig. But I just want to say it's great to be here, it's fantastic. Outside of Potchefstroom, great little town. I'll be back, probably develop a golf course in a couple of years. Because as things stand now, I'm not really welcome in the US. But thank you very much.
Well, sure, thank you. That was quite interesting to see you. But leading into that, the psyche. I remember, probably going to give it away here, I never used to watch Oprah, the Oprah Winfrey Show. I just know about a guy that used to be on a show, Dr. Phil. I never used to watch his programs. And then he had his own program, Dr. Phil. He would give advice, relationship advice. People would come in with all sorts of problems. Lots of problems, and he would give advice, you know. So I mean, that got me thinking. We're talking about the psyche, and I'm not talking about obscene psyche, but the psyche, the psyche of the Sapphics market, and it got me thinking about the psyche. I mean, he understands people, you know, psychologically, and he gives advice. And I thought, you know, so Dr. Phil, if you had to give advice, what advice would you give, you know, to the individuals here today, particularly about pig farming, but maybe more so about relationships, and you would have something to say, something like this. Well, I know that you know that sometimes you need to take a hard look at yourself, and other times you need to decide whether you want to move forward or not. A story always has two sides. No matter how many times you flip a pancake, it always has two sides. Thank you. Right. Pancake. I know you want to take a break, that biological break, and we've got one more speaker, and then we're going to stretch our legs, and we're going to take a break. So I thought maybe this, just to get the energy levels up. We're talking about Danbread today. If I say Dan, you say? Yes. Dan? Dan? Brown? Okay, again. Dan? Oh, dat is een beetje stil. Dat is een beetje stil. Dus net zo. Beetje die volume opkrijgen. Die mic is aan. Goed. Dan? 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 Ja, het is amper daar. Right, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker. Slim mense hier vandag. Sorry, English, very clever people here today. He's going to talk about the psyche of the Sapphics market. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Andries de la Boot.
Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. One of the prerequisites for me speaking here today was that I do this presentation in Afrikaans. So you'll see all my images are in Afrikaans, and I'm going to do my absolute best to at least give 4 to 6 English words during the lapse of the presentation. I actually don't know why I'm speaking here. I'm not a speaker, and I'm not a pig farmer. But I have been on the market for quite a few years, and I think most of you have some sort of a connection to the suffix market, or to buying grain, or trading even, if that's the basis of the concept. Ek dink dit is soos genoeg Engels nie, dit is nou mooi storie. Ek het so 15 jaar terug begin trade op suffix, spesifiek in die graanmark gewees. Kom ek van Vredefort af, ons boer in Vredefort, ek is 'n mielieboer eintlik, hier op die begin sojas plant. So ons is baie dankbaar op hierdie stadium vir die hoë pryse, ek dink almal van julle nie. So dis ook 'n tough crowd. Die verkeerde kant op bestaan. Maar ek het dit klomp gedoen in die laaste 15 jaar. Ek kom hier van Potchefstroom af, van Potchefstroom oorspronklik. Ek het aktuariële wetenskap geswat met PUK, en ek baie van die syferkant gehou, ons die boerdery en toekomstaffiks dan mooi die prentjie by die kombinasie van die twee. En klomp jaar getryd, baie gaan verloor, baie gaan gemaak, nooit regtig ding uitgevind en op 'n stadium begin besef, maar ek dink ons mark is 'n verskriklike psychological vir hierdie ding. So probeer om oor tyd dit uit te vind. Probeer om te kyk is wat enige korrelasie en hoe neem ons besluite? Nie net op suffix nie, maar in die breër terme. So ek so 'n kort presentasie en ek gaan probeer dit vinnig maak vir daai baie logical break. Ja, ek wou nog altyd dit gedoen het, maar ek het nou eendag ou gesien. Ek sal dit net onthou net voordat ek klaar maak. Ek het een ding nog voor gedoen. Ons as mense is geprogrammeer om te oorleef. Dis hier die basis van ons hele bestaan. Wat wil ons doen ons om te oorleef? En ons doen dit in 3 fases. And for the English people, we're talking about biases here. Mental biases and to survive. Die 3 biases in Engels confirmation, bias, self-serving en hindsight. Ek dink jy is nog daai woorde om jy beter daar kan sien. Dink ek maak die basis op van ons besluitneming vir al die mark. En ek gaan dit probeer verduidelik met 'n bietjie meer eenvoudige konsep. En ek dink hoe gaan nou die maklikste terugvat en toe kom dit aan die basis toe van daai eerste keer wat jy 'n nuwe meisie ontmoet of 'n nuwe ou ontmoet op basis. En confirmation bias, alles wat jy van haar sien is reg. Daar's nie 'n enkele ding verkeerd, sy's vriendelik, sy's mooi, sy's ongeag wat jy sien is reg, is mooi en is goed. Alles confirm wat jy dink, maar jy is ook toevallig in die mark vir 'n meisie op my stadium. So dit pas presies in by ons wat gebeur. Toe gaan ek nou op 'n stadium en jy vat die meisie huis toe. Vir die eerste keer eet saam aan tafel en jou ma begin met jou gesels in daai tyd oor die meisie en sê hoor maar sy praat nogal baie. Sê ja, dis waar, maar onthou die vorige keer het ons niks gesê nie, dus jy gaan nie tevrede daarmee nie, so jy is perfek. Selfs sê, maar Boeta het jou gehoor, sy het nogal 'n diep stem. Selfde storie. Presies dieselfde een vorige keer het vreeslik 'n high pitch gehad en dit was so almal irriterend, so dit pas perfek in. Pas perfek in die storie. Ek as mielieboer, ek weet nie of julle onthou nie, maar hier was so video's en foto's wat ons uit die gedoen het van 'n barber wat in die land was. Ek dink almal het daai foto's en daai video's gesien laas van die barber in die mielie. En almal het gesê hier gaan niks mielies wees nie. So in my setup, daai fotootjie was perfek geweest. Ek het nie mielies gekoop en die prys moet hoog gaan, daar's dan 'n barber in die land. Self-serving bias. En dan hindsight bias. Dit is nou 3 maande later dat jy die meisie is uit en dit kom toe uit dat sy was op 'n stadium 'n man geweest. Dit nou 3 maande in die publiek voor die man. Hindsight bias. Nou skielik maak dit vir jou sin die stem. En skielik maak dit sin dat die persoon het baie gepraat en hy is vrek op sy senuwees gewees dat iemand sou dalk uitgevang het. So in hindsight maak alles perfek sin, maar op daai stadium was die data nie daar. Op daai stadium het nie so gelyk en alles voor jou was presies geweest. Selfs met trading besluit in die lewe. Op daai stadium wat jy na iets kyk, probeer jy al die inligting bring na waartoe jy op pad is om te glo. As jy voel die prys moet afgaan, gaan nou al die inligting bymekaar maak wat sê die prys moet afgaan. En na die tyd, as jy sien wat gebeur het, dan vir jou eie oorlewing en om nie mal te raak nie, sê jy vir jouself kom, maar dit was eintlik duidelik geweest. Die verskille was eintlik daar, die data was eintlik daar. Nou, die gevolg daarvan is Die sameloop van die drie is 'n negativity bias. Wat dit beteken is, ons is geneig om altyd eerder na die negatiewe toe te leer. Altyd eerder na die kant toe wat vir ons sal help met oorlewe, stel dit so. En ek wil vinnig sommer twee van die goed aanhaal. Facebook, Reuters, die nuus, alles wat deesdae by ons 'n rol speel, is nie noodwendig data nie, maar baie groter deel oorlig. Ek dink vandag se dae word joernaliste en mense wat by hierdie tipe van plekke werk, baie meer gekeer op kommunikasieskills, baie meer gekeer op skryfvermoë as noodwendig research, as noodwendig agtergrond en ontwikkeling. En dis 'n baie eenvoudige konsep om te sien wat lees ou julle? Wat lees ou julle as jy Facebook kyk? Kyk jy na die opskrif wat sê 12 mense dood of die opskrif wat sê 12 pottels reggemaak? So 'n verkeerde voorbeeld. Nou ek is baie lief vir die idee van inligting van data en van statistiese navorsing. Nou daar's 'n universiteit in Amerika, dit was Massachusetts geweest. Hulle het 'n baie eenvoudige studie gedoen. Hulle het 3 skyfies gevat en hierdie spinne terug na die negativity bias. 3 baie eenvoudige skyfies. 'n Ferrari, 'n wit bord, net eenvoudige wit bord en 'n dooie kat. Dan het hulle nou gegaan en vir mense van die breinprobes opgesit, wat nou jou frekwensie en golwe in jou brein meet. Dan kyk wat is die effek van hierdie 3 goed op jou brein. Die Ferrari was eerste geweest, so dis die idee van 'n positiewe stimulasie in jou emosie. En as ons dit kan kwantifiseer na 'n totaal van 'n positief van 1, so baie positiewe ding gesien, golwe was 'n +1. So dit daarvan die benchmark. Toe gaan hulle na eenvoudige witbord en kyk na die witbord min of meer neutraal. So eerste 2 maak toe baie sin. Toe was die skyfie van 'n dooie kat. En daar sou waar die interessantheid begin. Die effek hiervan was negatief, maar baie naby aan dubbel die positief. So enigiets wat nou positief beleef, as jy negatiewe daarvan beleef, is die effek op jou emosie dubbel so erg. So dit was die eerste deel van die studie geweest. Baie interessant. Nou, ek het 'n pel en ek gaan nou terugkom na hierdie toe. Ek het 'n pel wat in die trading game is, maar baie spesifiek day trade. So hy trade currencies en 'n klomp equities, maar hulle doen 1000 trades 'n dag. So dit ongelooflike stelsel oor tyd na uitgefigure van waar jy in, hoe lank bly jy in, hoekom is jy nie trade, waar kat jy bo, waar kat jy onder, waar vat jy wins, waar is jy stoploss. So baie sterk reeks. Die twee goed wat jy uitstaan. Die eerste een is, hulle het aanvanklik elke dag, aan die einde van die dag, het hulle P&L gehad, profit en loss, en groot lys en bord gehad, gesien wie die meeste gemaak, wie die minste gemaak. Elke dag, so dit aangegaan. Nou, aanvanklik, die eerste statistiek wat baie belangrik is, die beste van die beste by hulle, is 55% van die tyd reg gewees. So, net meer as die helfte van die tyd, was die top van die top reg gewees op 'n intradag stop-piek basis. So dit is fyn. Dis 'n wenreis en dan net 'n bietjie meer daaroor uitbrei. Maar nou is die ding, eendag is jy positief, eendag is jy negatief. Eendag is jy positief, eendag is jy negatief. Op 55% is amper daagliks reg verkeerd. En die moraal van die maatskappy het in duie gestort. Want die negatief is dubbel dit van die positief. So vandag maak jy R100.000, môre verloor jy R100.000. Maar jy is 2 stappe terug emosioneel as wat jy eerder was. Jy is dubbel so negatief. Jy begin nou die sakkies kan uit. Toe begin hulle dit vat na maandeliks toe. Nou op 'n maandelikse termyn gaan hy 55% oor na argumente tot 62%. So 6 uit 10 maande is jy op, 4 uit 10 maande is jy toe raak dit beter. Op die einde kom dit toe by 'n kwartaallikse evaluering en so hulle vorm nou 'n kwartaallikse boek, wie's op met hoeveel oor 'n kwartaal en oor die kwartaal was dit min of meer by 75% by die ouens wat suksesvol was, dan hulle positief was. En skielik was die moraal van die maatskappy op 'n totaal ander level gewees. Daai stukkie statistiek het ons gaan toets. Ons het 'n app begin. Ek het 'n app begin so omtrent 10 jaar terug, 2012. Elwes is die app se naam. Dit is spesifiek kyk na graanpryse en ons luister net pryse op jou ons daar in daai kant toe. En ons het 'n chat-funksie op die app. En dit is langer gaan kyk, omtrent 3 jaar. Hoeveel opinies was daar gelewer in die 3 jaar? En hoeveel van my opinies het uitgespeel en hoeveel van hulle was reg en hoeveel was verkeerd geweest? En ek het sommer net so 'n klompie gevat, ek het die name ontval van ouens wat meer as 3 keer 'n opinie gegee het. En baie interessant, die beste van die ouens wat 'n klomp opinies gegee het, was 54% akkuraat. So net onder daai 55% wat ek al gesê het. En in totaal was 36% van die opinies reg. 64% was verkeerd geweest. Nou, ek het vinnig hier staan, julle ken die gesegde van in 'n 50-50 or 90% chance of losing. As jy nou kyk na 55% suksesrate en die effek van die negatief en die positief op die mense is mens doen to fail emosioneel op die mark. En ek wil nie met wendig aan die toets doen, maar ek net gewoonlik by die graan ouens om te vra wie voel as hy prys, dan gaan die mark aan die ander kant. En dis gewoonlik 100%. Almal voel gewoonlik as ek dit doen, jy kan maar na my kyk, as ek my graan verkoop, môre gaan hy op. Dis gewoonlik die siege wat in my kan wees. Nou, wat hierdie vir my baie interessant maak is, daar's 'n paar baie bekende mense in die geskiedenis wat 'n bestaan gemaak het op hierdie manier. Ek dink julle sal van hulle herken, hierdie was 'n lekker fliek gewees, The Big Short, George Soros wat die bank van Engeland geshort het, Cathy Wood wat die verskriklike run gehad het in die tech space in die laaste paar jaar. En hulle het almal miljoene en biljoene dollars gemaak op 'n goeie call. Nou die nice ding van 'n goeie call is, dit was basies 'n 50-50, maar die regte 50 gevat. En toe van daar af is die cumulatieve effek nou natuurlik massief. Nou, ek wil dit vir demonstreer met, ek het nydag van 'n briljante skerm gehoor en ek kan nie glo dat ek daaraan gedink. Die ou het, hy het vir mense gesê, as ek 10 keer my ry, vir jou kan sê wat die mark gaan doen, sal jy my $1 miljoen gee om mee te trade. En mense het almal gesê ja, net of wel deels van jy het gespeel, het almal gesê ja, 100%. Toe vat hy sy e-maillys van, ek dink dit was met 1000 mense gewees, wat hy nou vir ryk mense se inligting van gekry het. En hy stuur vir die helfte, die mark gaan op en vir die ander helfte die mark gaan af. En die helfte wat reg is, die volgende dag stuur hy vir die helfte die mark gaan op, die helfte gaan af. Vir die wat reg is, die volgende helfte. Tot op die ou einddags 10 rondes kom uit by bijvoorbeeld hy 10 of 11 mense, wat hy 10 keer in hy reg was, en hy vat hulle geld. Selfde begin hy volgende dag sê, hoor nie, ok, ek het uitgefigure waar die fout was, en hy begin weer oor. So as ek nou vir 10 keer in hy kan sê, dan het hy sy volgende 10. En so die ou klompskap in mekaar gemaak met die 50-50 idee. Jy sien die probleem wat 'n mens het in die breë is, ons dink, ons weet baie. Dit het dit genoem en heeltemal reg. Ons weet die aarde is rond, en ons weet daar's 'n son en goed beweeg om mekaar. Maar wat is 'n persentasie van daai data en daai inligting? Weet ons reg? Dit is reg. Het iemand al gesien die aarde is rond van bo? Ek praat nie meer van dit is, ek praat nie die ander. Het ons idee van die fisika, hoe vinnig beweeg daai baan waarin ons is enigstens? Wat is die momentum? Wat is ons momentum om die as? Wat is daai as besig om te doen? Het ons enige 0,1% inligting oor die aarde rond is, behalwe dat ons dit glo? Rook is sleg vir jou liggaam, ons almal weet dit. Maar weet ons regtig op 'n molekulêre vlak of selvlak of in die detail 1% van wat aangaan, maar tog glo ons dit 100% ten volle. Jy sien tricky deel. Navorsing sê dat 'n mens se brein het rowweg 1 gigabyte se geheuekapasiteit. Rowweg van geheue. Ek het nou gister weer gaan kyk, ek hierdie 64 gig disk en nou koop vir R30. So ons breinkapasiteit is die som totaal van 'n paar sente. En terme van geheue. En van dit het ook presies onthou. Maar tog harte die hele wêreld op hierdie paar sent se stof. Nee, op hierdie nou hier is die studie, ek dit is by die mark aan. Daar is 'n studie gedoen, nou selfs by die universiteit, het 'n steekproef gevat, hulle vir die helfte van die mense 'n verkeerde antwoord gegee en vir die ander helfte die regte antwoord. Nou kom ons aan gestel 0 was die regte antwoord en 1 was die verkeerde antwoord. Die span vir wie hulle verduidelik het om by 1 uit te kom, het hulle met verskillende selfvertroue gedoen. So hulle absoluut oortuigend gesê, dis nie die somwerk, dit is die antwoord, dis 1. Wat verkeerd is. Vir die ander groep het is so halfhartig gesê, hoor ons dink die antwoord is 0 en ons dink dis min of meer daarby uitkom. Toe hulle die twee groepe teen mekaar laat debatteer. En die groep die verkeerde antwoord het gewen. Sien, want ons brein gaan na die kant toe waar die meeste selfvertroue is. Mense is geneig om iemand te glo met selfvertroue. Jy is geneig om iets wat met oortuiging oorkom, baie makliker te glo as ek vir jou sê, was by baie boere daar, nou sien jy ou hierdie vis in die rivier of in die water wat in die land swem. En dan is dit baie maklik om almal te oortuig. Kyk jy sien foto. Julle sal nie glo nie, daar's niks. Ek kan 'n oproep van Oom Piet af wys en dan sê hy daar's nie enkele pikmielies daar nie. Praat nie ons in Natal, daar's niks daar. Praat nie ons daar. Kersfees dan vergeet, ek gaan nie mielies wees nie. Die prys van 5, 6, 7, 8 is. Baie maklik. teenkant, weet jy, ek het met 'n paar ouens in Wessels Bron gepraat en hulle het goed uit te bang, 'n paar ouens hier, dit is nie so rondie. As jy daai twee groepe teen mekaar gaan relateer, gaan die ander groep baie maklik wen, die oortuiging. Hoe meer mense dieselfde voel oor 'n ding, hoe meer waar is dit. Meer mense glo die prys moet opgaan, sonder enige data, sonder enige inligting, sonder enige iets. Hoe meer mense sê, hoor jy ons dink die prys moet opgaan, hoe meer waar is dit. En dit is typies wat in ons mark gebeur, en wat ons self baie keer herhaal. Ek het 'n doel met hier. Hoe ons inligting oordra is baie belangrik. En hoe ons dit halfpad oordra is baie gevaarlik. Ek het net gesien met twee ouens wat in die straat stap en die een ou sê vir die ander ou hier. So gelyk het sy dit kon doen. Hy sê jy mal die hond se byt. Dit is nie probleem. Met hoe ons inligting oordra. As ons een ding met baie selfvertroue sê, al het ons 'n baie klein stukkie van die inligting, al is 'n baie klein gedeelte van hierdie data, ons het 'n baie groot oortuiging, kan dit baie vinnig 'n klomp ouens in dieselfde rigting vat. En hoor 'n bietjie hierdie redenasie. Ek wil nou graag hierdie week mielies koop by voerkraal. Ek gaan gou net vir Piet bel, my broker, net hoor wat sê hy. En as hy dink dis 'n goeie ding, dan gaan hy my mielies koop. Sonder enige feite, sonder enige data, enige. Voel jy positief? Ek dink die pryse op die ding is so goed. Baie maklik om die kop in die grond te druk. Dis ek het by iemand iets gehoor en met daai hoor gaan nou vorentoe. Nou hierdie slide is ook baie nicer by boere wat grond produseer as ons wat grond koop tipies. Maar die stigma in die mark is veral onder saaiboere dat die NOK benadeel die boer baie, die saaiboer baie. Het ek sommer interessant dat hier so 'n klomp jaar wat ek dink hier is omtrent 20 jaar, 21 jaar se maart, ons is sy tweede skat, ja, in maart vir 20 van kom ons sê maar vir 20 van die 22 jaar het die NOK die graanmark onderskat. So in ander woorde, bullish vir die prys. So mense dalk iets vir julle aan die koopkant om op die oor te gaan kla. Met 'n gemiddeld van op bestuurders. So die maatskatting oor die laaste 20 jaar het eerder 'n baie gehad met terwyl te veel. So eerder positiewe pryse as dit. Nog 'n groot voordeel in die stelsel wat ons gehad het is hier met Oekraïne. Die hele ding wat Oekraïne toe was, ons kon uitvoer. Ek was op die slide wys. Die koringmark omtrent 800 miljoen ton in totaal en Oekraïne se uitvoerdeel daarvan omtrent 20 miljoen ton waarvan die helfte kon uitgevoer en die helfte is klaar uit gewees. So 10 miljoen ton uit 800 was bietjie vas. Tog die wêreld eindig nie op data nie, maar op emosie en op die idee van 'n bloem. En wat gebeur toe? Toe kom China skielik in die prentjie en die hele ding word gereroute. So dit alles in ag. Ek het 'n baie groot opinie dat ek dink alles wat ons moet maak, alles is nie greed en fear nie, ek dink dis al fear. Positief en negatief. My dees net gesprek met jou is tipies. Of hoor jy die mark is nou so laag, ek kan nie mense verkoop vir die prys nie. Ek sê bang ek gaan nie oorleef. En aan die bokant, die pryse is nou nogal regtig goed, maar ek is bang as ek hom nou vasmaak gaan ek nog hoor. Ek dink by julle is die ander kant. So ek dink dis eerder fear en fear. Ek sou so 'n paar interessante goed bring oor die breë van mielies en ek gaan nog so 4 minute reg. Wêreldproduksie sê dit nou 91 tot nou toe in 30 jaar van 500 miljoen ton na omtrent 1.2 biljoen ton, toe so baie groot groeiende mark. Hierdie was vir my baie interessant geweest. So dis ook sommer 'n breë konsep. Hierdie is voorraad wat in die wêreld is. Die geel is die hele wêreld sonder China, die blou is China. In die laaste 5, 6, 7 jaar het China omtrent dubbel die volume voorraad op hand as die res van die wêreld saam. So ek wil nou 'n bietjie konspirasie teorie hierso hê, maar baie mense dat hulle speel mos tipies die long game in China, dat hulle iets sien kom met vir die res van die wêreld in terme van voedselsekuriteit. En dan hierdie is sommer so langtermyn van 1970 tot nou toe mieliegraan. Vir amper 35, 40 jaar was korn in Amerika geweldig 2,5 dollar geweest. Toe in 2008 het ons 'n sprong gemaak wat ek dink het van daar af rolweg $3, $3.50 gemiddelde prys. En ek het so die ons het en nou weer 'n nuwe sprong gemaak na COVID. En die nuwe level wat ek in my kop het is nou dan $6 wat ek dan voor toe gaan wees vir my spesifiek. Hierdie is ons unies. Jy sal nie glo hoeveel mense bel my op 'n weeklikse basis vra om dit te koop. Moet hy nou spekulatief lank gaan, weet jy. En dan vra wat my seentjie, en dis deels van my, so loop net myself op. Vra my seentjie as hy hierdie grafiek sien, hy is nou 6. Is hierdie prys hoog of laag? As dit nie is hoog. So, nou as jy dink ek kom altyd terug in die stippellyntjie toe, moet 'n ou nou hier koop of verkoop? Ek sê my verkoop. En ek dink baie keer as ou langtermyn grafiek van hierdie kyk van enigiets, dan baie minder kompleks dink oor trade. Want at best as jy verskriklik kompleks dink, gaan jy van 50% na 55% afval. As jy 4 besluite 'n jaar maak, bly dit 2-2. Daar's nog geen verskil in 4 besluite nie. As jy begin by 4000 kom 'n jaar, dan maak dit 'n verskil. So as baie sê, met 'n groot beweging 100 miljoen ton 30 jaar terug, nou amper 400 miljoen ton, dit amper vervierdubbel in die laaste 30 jaar. En ons sit met 'n redelike gesonde hoeveelheid oordrag op sojas, amper 26%. Die plan vir volgende jaar soos het ons reeds, so ek weet dat julle rantsoene by vark gebruik op die soja. So ek dink ons het 'n redelike goeie oordrag van sojas op die stadium en soja pryse wêreldwyd op die stadium baie hoog. Selfs by ons plaaslike. So ek kan op die stadium vir julle met 50% sekerheid sê die mielieprys kom af en die sojaprys kom af. Hierdie ek was by 'n boerevereniging gewees, ek kan nie sê waar dit was nie. By 'n boerevereniging vergadering en ek het nogals oortuiging hoor om die oom te oorreed, dit is nie sy neef nie. Dit is Einstein. En Einstein het gesê die mees komplekse ding vir 'n mens te doen is om te dink, om reg te dink. Dis die hoogste energieverbruik in 'n mens se liggaam is om jou brein kognitief te funksioneer. Dis hoekom ou so moeg is na eksamen, en so uitgeput is na die eksamen skryf, omdat jy die hele tyd moet dink. En dis ook ons grootste risiko. Ons grootste risiko met dink is, ons val terug op die idee van autopilot. Ons sal eerder net bel en hoor, eerder net terugsit, as om 'n paar eenvoudige sommetjies te maak, 'n paar eenvoudige datastukke te kry, te sê, hoor iemand, met hierdie 3, 4, 5 gestandardiseerde stukke inligting voor my, is ons hoog of is ons laag. Met 'n koop van die voorkoop, en hier is my resep van hoe ek dit vir myself bepaal, in plaas van om net te sê, hoor die ding is dit, ek gaan eerder net vir ook iemand bel, net oor wat dink hy, en as hy ding ons moet koop, en ek voel dis reg, dan gaan ons dit doen. Ja, dus iemand sal sê, dit is my storie, en ek hou daarop. Ek wil 'n laaste gunsie vra, ek wil dit altyd gedoen het. As ons nou biologiese pauze het, gaan julle omgee om net reg te staan, en julle hande so in die lug te hou. So. Net vinnig, so. Hou net so. My siekie vraag altyd, na so 'n dag, en die mense gelyk het op gesê. So toe dat sy sê. Baie dankie.
He was going to talk to us on what's going to happen, what's the trends in the pig industry for the next 20 years up until the year 2040. About 2 weeks ago, we received a call from John, and he said, I'm in big trouble. I can't make it. I said, John, we're in big trouble because we were hoping you would be here. He said he's in a court case, which is a welfare case in England, a farmer versus the government. If he comes here, they're going to subpoena him. He has to attend it as an expert witness. He said I was very disappointed. Late yesterday afternoon, John sent through his talk on WeTransfer. He's not on the program. Dr. Edgar Orton and I listened to it this morning. In my opinion, it's a brilliant talk. Would you like to listen to it? Okay. What that means is, after the biological break, we're going to listen to Dr. John Cole, and then we're going to listen to Advocate Ronald Kent. Is that okay with you guys? Done.
Thanks everyone. It's time for the biological break. If I can ask everyone to sort of try and be back here at 20 past 2 to get a black license. Thank you. Enjoy.